used to blame schools that they were forcing us to read about wars, and I didn't like it, and I didn't want it. I kind of liked reading books, but I didn't like reading books about wars. And somehow life, I don't know how this happened, that anytime there was a trip to Auschwitz from school, somehow something was happening that was that I failed to join this this trips. I don't know. And life knew. I don't know. My parents somehow failed to notice that I was very often going crazy because I cared too much. And honestly, at school, I was ruminating in my mind about I was blaming inside my mind that why schools were forcing us and going about past, about wars, and why was school uh, talking about what had happened in the past, why we have to learn about those wars, why we have to read about those wars. And I really didn't like it. And any other books were fine, but about wars I couldn't. I cared too much. And in my adulthood, sometimes uh, in my adulthood, uh, I managed to read a book of The Pianist, and also some book about any book about war I have read. I cared very much, and I felt I've been worried, and I felt anger, and I felt sorrow, and I felt sadness, and just I didn't wanted to read those books because I was too emotional and I cared too much, and I was worried and I was angry. And whenever I read some book about a mother who was abusive toward its child, I cared too much. And when I read this book about pianist, when I read that soldiers, German soldiers, or Polish people, crazy people, because whenever there is a war and society is collapsing, and system is collapsing, then people stop to pretend, and they act the way they really are. So also the book said that also uh, Polish people behave crazy, and they were not only German soldiers were killing babies, they were throwing or elderly, they were throwing their bodies against the walls, and they were laughing about women were going crazy because the loss of their babies, and they were in sorrow and they were crying, and they were laughing about this, and they were having fun about this. And to be honest, when I was reading this book few years before Ariel, I cared very much. And to be honest, nowadays, because of the meditation, my mind can show all of this stuff, like those soldiers or those crazy people are killing those babies. It's it has no impact. It can't manipulate with my emotions. I don't feel anymore sadness, or um, I'm not feeding those demons. Like I'm like, I don't care anymore. Like they can't manipulate with my emotions anymore. those stories. So if demons wanna feed on my emotions of worry or sorrow or crazy, going crazy, um, going mad, or wanting me to revenge, I will leave it to God. I know if they karma is somehow working, that no matter how much they inflicted pain upon another beings, they are going to have to face the same amount of pain in themselves sooner or later. Not in this lifetime, but in another lifetime. Sooner or later, this or another way, they will have to pay for this. And in those times, because I was challenging myself, and I get the courage to read, but in internet, in Wikipedia, about the insane people who were brainwashed to work for Hitler in his camps, and they were cruel and abusive toward people, and the court made a decision for them to be hanged, and even in the face of their own death, they used to they said before they death, they said like things like, the only thing I regret, it's like the only purpose for them, they said, it was to be cruel and abusive toward people, and they only regret that they couldn't continue to be cruel and abusive toward people, because for this only they were living. And and if not for this, then it's like the only thing they regret, they can't anymore hurt people and abuse people. That were their last words before they had been hanged. No remorse even in the face of their own death. To be honest, nowadays darkness has no more impact on me. I'm not afraid anymore. I don't feel any pain when I think about this. I don't feel any sorrow. I don't feel any sadness. Like those stories has no more impact on me. I used to be very sensitive, and I couldn't read books about wars. I didn't wanted to learn history about wars. I didn't want to read books about this, and I wanted to gain this courage, this fearlessness. So I was trying later, but I was always going a little bit crazy about this, and why I read this and why I saw this, and I was angry with myself. And I heard, then why you are reading this if you care too much? Don't read this. And I was thinking, because I don't wanna be so easily manipulated. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to be free. I wanted to be strong. I didn't want it to be manipulated. I didn't want it to someone or something feed on my emotions and drain me or something like this. I wanted to be free. Nowadays, it has no significant impact on me. it can't manipulate me emotionally. But also I don't have my own children. Then why I did care it? I don't know. Sometimes I cared more about others' children. In my previous work, there was this girl. She was pregnant. She didn't wanted this pregnancy. And I was so worried about her child because she was going crazy, like this child is going to be born and is going to be disabled or something like this. And intuition was telling me that she was going crazy because she didn't wanted this third child. That was an accident. And somehow I felt for her baby. I don't know. I was worried. And I was constantly thinking why this has such a strong impact on me. And I was so worried. And this girl was literally going crazy. She was going to the bosses, telling stuff like she's going to do abortion, something like this. And everyone around was trying to save her and help her. She was literally going crazy. And I was thinking how negative impact her behavior and her unease, her anxiety must have on this baby. And I was so worried about this baby, and she was not like in bad life situation. Her husband was working. It wasn't like they were dying from hunger. Instead of being, and she was so busy about others people problems instead of taking care of herself and her pregnancy. She was like going crazy. And she was going crazy about other people neglecting their children, and she couldn't take care of her own children because, as I saw, she was constantly blame mm, tripping her own daughters and making favor the other daughter. Um, I don't. She wasn't behave. She wasn't a good mother, as I saw. And I was thinking, instead of taking care of her own pregnancy and taking care of emotionally of her own children, she was trying to save another woman children instead of taking care of her own life and her own children. And I remember I was so worried about this baby. And I was constantly thinking, why am I so worried? It's not even my baby. Why am I so worried? And I a little bit changed my mind. I was thinking maybe she was going crazy in this pregnancy. Maybe this baby was I don't know, maybe this baby was creating in her this craziness. Maybe this baby was some chosen one. Maybe this baby was enlightened in her, and maybe this baby was driving her crazy. Before this pregnancy, she was a little bit unstable. But in this pregnancy, she was extremely going insane. Like, I was so worried about this baby. But now I'm thinking maybe this baby was driving her insane. Maybe this baby was like chosen one or something like this. Maybe this other way around, because I was thinking this woman should take care of her own emotional state and take care of her pregnancy and this baby instead of going crazy. She was calling everyone, calling bosses. She's going to do abortion because this baby is going to be something. She was literally going crazy. And I saw her in such a strong distress. Like, I was thinking it would be better if she did this abortion, because I wouldn't want to be in place of this baby to have such unstable mother. And I um, I saw her throwing rage on her daughters one of her daughter. I didn't like it. Later, I remember I regret I didn't say anything. But after doing some contemplation and meditation, and hearing some other perspective in internet, I'm thinking maybe it was something different. Maybe this baby was causing her this distress. Anyway, I has found myself in a place where I actually can find myself, mm, to not care as much anymore, to not be worried about others' children, others' babies. Maybe sometimes those babies and those children, in truth, are stronger from their own parents. Who knows? Maybe those children and those babies are even stronger. Maybe children are more stronger and more mature than adults sometimes. Who knows? Who knows how this play? Unfolds.